You need to stop and listen to what is happening in the US right now as a result of Donald Trump's executive orders. There are ICE raids that are targeting Native Americans. Native Americans. They are currently being detained and questioned, and they are American citizens. This is not going to stop. The racism in this country has been unleashed at an unprecedented level, and many people are going to pay the price. This is truly dangerous right now. Please know your rights. Please share information with vulnerable people. And as always, please go ahead and follow me on all of my other platforms in case this app gets banned again. The link is in my bio. I am devastated for everybody this is affecting currently.
Fuck you. Fuck you. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? All this fucking talk about arresting me?
He's on the sidewalk.
All this fucking talk about arresting me?
You're gonna push him on the sidewalk and arrest him?
They threatened to arrest us. And I said, go ahead and arrest me. And they chicken shit it out. They took a bunch of other people here, but they had one of their cops pull me off the road. I want to be arrested. Because these guys should know fucking... Ahmed, right here, Ahmed, should know fucking better. Trump put a Muslim ban on you people. Do you know that? Trump put a Muslim ban. He doesn't want you here. Well, let me explain why I'm here. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm an elder. And when I was younger, I did all this. And when I was younger, I did go to jail for these things. But I'm not supposed to do this. My job as an elder is to teach our young people love. And one of the major problems that happened to Native Americans in Canada and in the United States were the boarding schools. And the boarding schools created such trauma that the people who went through the boarding schools were so traumatized. When they went home, they couldn't tell their children they loved them. They weren't able to hug them. So the new movement with my elder people is we teach our people to love each other. We never leave the house. Never leave the house without telling our families that we love them. And I extend that to all people. And this is sort of, in some ways, my last stand. This is my last time to really get to be heard. I love this guy. I love this Muslim. But I just want him to hear me. And sometimes the only way for somebody to be heard is to make a lot of noise. And I'll probably go home and I'll probably cry about this. But that's something I have to live with.
Native Americans who are more American than you and I, for no other reason other than complete and utter bigotry. That's what this is. Let me tell you what's going on. Reports of Navajo people being detained in immigration sweeps sparks concern from tribal leaders. The Department of Justice, under Trump, argued in court that indigenous people don't have birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment, so neither should children of non-citizens born in the U.S. Think about that. They're arguing that Native Americans whose land we stole by raping, pillaging, kidnapping, and murdering, they're not rightful American citizens. As U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement intensifies its effort to apprehend and deport undocumented immigrants throughout the country, we saw massive raids in Chicago, in particular over the weekend, concerns rising among indigenous communities residing in urban areas about reports of indigenous people being detained in the valley. Navajo tribal leaders have received alarming reports that their tribal members are being detained, heightening uncertainties over the implications of these actions have for their communities and the safety of their people. Quote, "We now know that Navajo people and enrolled members of other tribes are being detained in Phoenix and other cities by ICE," Navajo Nation Council Speaker Crystalline Curley said during a committee meeting on Thursday. The reports that we have received indicate that we need to coordinate an operation or some type of response to help our enrolled tribal members here on Navajo Nation. But wait a minute, MAGA. I thought that this was about going after criminals. I thought this was about going after the people bringing in fentanyl. I thought this was about going after the people that murdered Lake and Riley. I thought that this was about going after the bad ones, as Trump said. They're not bringing their best. What does going after Native Americans have to do with keeping America safe? Absolutely nothing. And I don't give a shit if you want to subscribe. If you want to unsubscribe, because I'm not going to feed you exactly what you want to hear, bye-bye. Go back to your safe, comfy right-wing chambers. This is bigotry. This is hatred. And this is literally what fascism is.
You're not going to believe this story. A Native American woman, who's of course a US-born citizen, was almost deported by ICE because of a clerical error. Her family had to scramble in the middle of the night to stop ICE from taking her away from her own homeland. A day before the Arizona native Leticia Jacobo was scheduled to be released from an Iowa jail, her mother visited to verify pickup details with the staff. Erica Burns was excited to drive her daughter home after spending a month apart and wanted to make sure Jacobo wasn't forced to wait a minute longer than necessary. But jail staff told Burns Jacobo wouldn't be let go because she would be turned over to immigration agents, even though Jacobo was a Native American. The 24-year-old was born in Phoenix, Arizona, and was booked in the Polk County Jail in Iowa, where she currently lives, in September for allegedly driving with a suspended license. She was supposed to be released on November 11th, but what should have been a routine process was complicated and delayed by an erroneously issued ICE detainer. Her mother's sister said it was terrifying to be told that Jacobo would be taken by federal agents, especially because no one appeared willing to correct the mistake at first. She asked, how is she going to get deported if she's a Native American, and said, we have proof. They said, well, we don't know because we're not immigration, and we can't answer those questions. We're just holding her for them. So when they pick her up tonight, they're going to go ahead and deport her to wherever they're going to take her, but we have no information on that. Unfortunately, this is not the first time something like this has happened. In January, more than a dozen indigenous people in Arizona and New Mexico had been questioned or detained by federal immigration authorities. The mother's sister said that she was skeptical that the mix-up was nothing more than a misunderstanding, and that discrimination wasn't involved to at least some degree. She noted that Jacobo had her tribal identification with her, had been fingerprinted, had her social security number on file, and has been booked into the same jail more than once. The only reason she wasn't illegally deported from her homeland is because her family fought like hell. Otherwise, the scary truth is we probably would have never heard anything about.
Native American was just arrested and ICE tried to deport her. What? That's right, Leticia Jacobo is a 24-year-old and was born in Phoenix. She is also a Native American who is a member of Arizona's Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community. When this 24-year-old's mother, Erica Burns, went to the jail to pick up her daughter after she was arrested for allegedly driving with a suspended license, the jail told her no, they were unable to release her because ICE was on the way. This was understandably shocking news, and Erica didn't know what to say. Why was ICE coming to pick up her daughter? To deport her. A Native American, who she asked the Polk County Jail, how can they be deporting my 24-year-old daughter whenever she is a Native American? Polk County's response was, we aren't deporting her, we're just holding her because ICE is coming to pick her up. This mother being very aware of what ICE coming to pick up her daughter meant, and her daughter not having a country they could possibly deport her to because her ancestors have been in the United States for thousands of years, started making phone calls. Her entire family went into overdrive. They started calling officials. They even showed up with her birth certificate to prove that she was a legal citizen in the United States and proof that she is a Native American. Even with all of this information, there was no immediate release. In fact, ICE did show up, and tribal members, tribal officials were even speaking out demanding her release, and it still took them until 4 o'clock the next morning for them to finally release her. What was ICE's response when tribal communities demanded an apology from them? They did not apologize. They simply said that it was a clerical error. Lieutenant Mark Chance from Polk County Sheriff's Office has simply brushed this whole thing off, saying that it was a human error. That the detainer placed on the 24-year-old Native American was simply meant for someone else at the jail. Also shared in his statement that we will be having some meetings about this. This is silly. But the Native American community and the rest of the country are saying this is far from silly. Someone who was not only born and raised in America, but is a Native American herself, who was also faced with deportation, what people are assuming is because of the color of her skin.
ICE put a detainer on a Native American person, and they even had plans to deport her.
This is 24-year-old Leticia Jacobo. She was born in Phoenix, but is part of Arizona's Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community. She currently lives in Des Moines, Iowa, and back in September, she was arrested for allegedly driving with a suspended license. She was scheduled to be released on November 11th, Veterans Day. But when family was there to pick her up, the family was told that ICE had a detainer on her and they were going to deport her. Deport her to where? She is a native to this land. Well, it was very difficult for the family to get in touch with anyone because it was Veterans Day. Thankfully, the family mobilized, they got her birth certificate. The family also stayed on site to make sure that she was not taken by ICE. Thankfully, she was let go, and the police officers, of course, are saying that this was just a simple mistake, even though Leticia had her tribal identification card on her, had been fingerprinted, had her social security number on file, and has been booked into the same jail more than once. And the ICE detainer was put on Leticia a week before the family came to pick her up. And that they're sure that when ICE gets a hold of these kinds of stories, that they'll keep their thumb on these silly mistakes. Silly? This is racial profiling. This is putting innocent people in immigration detention or possibly deporting them. And I also find it hard to believe that it's just a silly mistake when the same department has been told by federal judges that they're violating people's right to due process. With one of those cases of people being denied due process in Iowa being an asylum seeker from Colombia. He was accused of stealing from a Walmart, but receipts showed that he did not steal anything. It was a mistake. The DHS continued to have him held at the Polk County Jail for nearly 3 months, causing him physical and mental anguish. So no, I don't believe this was a silly error. If she wasn't lucky enough to have such a support system behind her, who knows what would have happened. I mean, we have an idea given this country's history with indigenous people, especially indigenous women. The family is considering legal action, which I hope they do. Please share the story so people know what's happening to the indigenous community and that their story isn't erased from what's happening during the...
Now let's talk about criticism. Because after this incident, ICE, they have found themselves under a serious fire, and honestly, rightfully so. Because first, as we've heard many people asking one simple question: how does a US citizen, a Native American woman, come this close to a deportation? With this, it is exposing a very huge problem. That's according to me. Because one, it seems like ICE is not verifying properly, and they are just placing holds on people without double checking documents, identities, or even there are those basic facts. And if Letitia's story went public, you can imagine how many stories. You can imagine those ones that didn't go on public. I've had many critics saying that ICE is relying too much on quick database matches. Others are saying local jails are forwarding names without proper review. Others are talking about the tribal IDs and birth certificates are being ignored. And worst of all, innocent people are getting trapped, in the system. So this is why the backlash is very strong. People are very angry because this almost turned into a wrongful deportation. Thank you very much. That's for today. Until tomorrow. Bye bye, guys. I love you. So if you are new here, make sure you hit the notification bell, subscribe, watch, comment, and also share our content. Thank you very much, guys.